Well,
Hey, welcome, internet world. I look good.
You look like Rafferty.
Okay, well the lighting is good, right? I had to change. Apparently, the sun moved, and I had to change the lighting.
I'll put you in
Whoa.
the top 2.
Okay, that's good. We'll see.
My lighting's changed here again.
Wait,
you may have noticed
now
it's
it's
been
better,
dimmer
but
for a
you
week.
Can't see me. All right. I
Rafferty
think
in
I'm a
the
little
dark.
washed out, but that's okay. Well, everybody, welcome to the mystery game, which we'll reveal later. These guys don't know what it is, but I know what it is. I have a suspicion Theta knows what it is, but he hasn't said anything. So good on you, Theta.
No, I don't actually know what it is.
Okay.
That's a mystery to everyone.
So earlier we went ahead and let's see, the map overlay is up. Is the map overlay working okay? I should check to see how it looks in your stream. Yeah, I got lost down a little rabbit hole. I am Norman Rafferty, by the way. I am broadcasting from an undisclosed location. So, and I'm joined today by the Ractus Irregulars. We have Theta, Griffin, and Arclight.
We waved. You can't see us. We waved.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There was a delay. Sorry, I called up the Twitch and there's a delay.
I was adjusting 20 things and posting
Oh,
a
good.
GIF.
You wrote down everybody's roles. So we did have somebody pick the innkeeper. Okay, good, because I got to cross that off the list here.
Yay.
Okay, so this mystery game is going to be played in the Middle Ages. I forgot to ask if anybody wanted to play something that wasn't a human.
What kind of choices do we have?
I do not give a shit.
Okay, I'll be... We've already joked about it. I'll be the badger person again.
I'll be the dragon.
You can be a talking dragon. You can be a talking badger. It doesn't change anything.
Talking badger. There we go. Doesn't matter. We're doing it.
Even though this is an old school game, it was written years ago. I should probably rephrase it. You should probably be something that's a little more human, because you're not getting any weird dragon powers unless you just want to be a talking dragon person. We're using the D&D 5 rules where you just write down you're a halfling. We treat you like a halfling, but you can be a talking badger if you want.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'll just be a human. From the future. No, I'll just be a human.
I mean,
perfectly human, just badger. There we go.
This is an old school game, not old school revival, genuine old school game. So, of course, are dwarves, elves, gnomes, and halflings in it. Because, of course, there's gnomes. None of you want to play one, but they're here.
Dwarf. I'm a smith. Might as well.
You want to be a what?
I'm a dwarf.
Dwarf? Perfect. You're a dwarf.
There we go.
Okay. And as usual, there are half orcs, but not. Well, actually, I think this one might have orcs. But let's not get into that because that's a third rail. So you'll be playing people, and congratulations, you are in the Barony of Harkwood. Dun dun dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
Specifically in the village of Harkwood. I was going to show you a map, but I couldn't actually find one. The only map is in this book, and I wasn't able to get a good photograph of it because my camera is being stupid. Once again, I am in an undisclosed location using improvised tools. But I did, out of all the things I managed to save, a fucking 30-year role-playing game. Oh, are we allowed to curse?
Yeah, it's fine.
Fuck yeah. All right.
We used up our one now.
Curses, not slurs.
I'll try. So earlier I asked folks to go ahead and do some preliminary generation of their characters, and I believe Theta, you've decided to play the sheriff. Did you give your character a name?
Alexander King.
Excellent, Alexander. And we also have the town Metalsmith is building by Arcloyd. Arcloyd, what's your dwarf's name?
Glingerdin Axcleft.
Okay. Good. So you pass the dwarf check. You have either axe or beard in your name.
Yes.
And of course we have, let's see. And you've decided to play the innkeeper, huh, Griffin?
Yep, that's right.
Well, good news. You not only get to name your character, but you also get to name your inn.
All right. Let's just go with Jonathan. He's good Jonathan. I mean, he's a peasant. He doesn't have a last name. As for an inn, let's go ahead and call it the Drunken Chicken.
The Drunken Chicken.
It's part of a long and lengthy story about the village that I'll definitely tell you once you've bought 10 drinks.
You're not that off on the inn that's actually described in here, because I assume it's called the Drunken Chicken because one day you had this really nice sign out front that has a nice big painted rooster on it, and then it broke, and so it's been hanging lopsidedly ever since, and some people just call it the Drunken Chicken.
Yeah, it works.
So, what I love about this adventure is this is so old school, you can feel the Society for Creative Anachronism dripping from it. That's what I love about this. This is from America's Heartland, Texas.
Buy your guns and laser swords here right at the inn.
Yep. A bunch of SCA nuts. Okay, and so you are all in the barony of Harkwood, which is one barony and a bunch of them in the fantasy land named Caithness. Don't Google that because Caithness is a real place and it will confuse the hell out of you.
Of course.
Okay, but here's the important thing. So you're in Harkwood and your barony is in the middle of nowhere, and you guys are not the richest of the baronies. That would be Simonton, which is next door to the east. To the west are the Harkwood Woods. You're only allowed to go so far in the Harkwood Woods because it's rumored that they're full of elves and weirdos who basically we don't screw with them and they don't screw with us. And in theory, that's how it's supposed to be. But colonialism, there are some, issues going on there. Also, Alexander, you have been promoted to sheriff because they have fired the previous sheriff, Ilthuane, and he has been evicted from the kingdom in disgrace because a couple of weeks ago, Baron Fenmark, the Baron of Harkwood, by the name of Baron Fenmark, tasked Ilthuane and the sheriff with making sure that their silver train, basically Baron collected a bunch of taxes, had a bunch of money liquidated into silver because he came into money. I'm not sure the details, you'd have to ask him. And this money was supposed to go straight to King Caithness to pay off debts and taxes and that kind of stuff. And it was robbed.
Okay, didn't do his
Could have
job.
ever predicted that. A large amount of money would attract attention.
That's a good question. You, Alexander, the only thing you know is when you were appointed by the village hetman. And actually, none of you chose hetman, right? So the hetman's an NPC?
Right. No one chose mayor.
Okay. So let's see. Well, the Baron is Baron Fenmark. So you, Sheriff, would basically report to Baron Fenmark. Eric here is the village hetman. Eric is a war veteran from one of the Crusades. There's Crusades because, of course, there are. He's the one who runs the day-to-day affairs as the Baron deals with the entire barony. But you are in Harkwood Town, which is basically the capital of the barony of Harkwood, which in turn reports to the King of Caithness. So you, Alexander, have been appointed to take over for Ilthuane, and you've been you mostly talk to Eric. Eric is a sorry, I'm shedding a tear here because these characters are all younger than me. Yeah, Eric's a middle-aged man who's a veteran of one of the Crusades. So he's got a battle scar. He's lost an ear. So he's a little hard of hearing and has a tendency to raise his voice a lot. So basically, you're reporting David Lynch.
Which year?
Sorry?
I speak to the other side.
Yeah, it's the left ear.
All right, so always talk to him on the right.
Yeah, he's nasty scar tissue there. Okay. But, and he basically he was a quartermaster in the army, so he runs the finer details of the town. But yeah, he's telling you that they fired the previous sheriff because of that issue. He, in fact, that guy was actually sent off to the king, and we haven't seen him since. And Eric is making it known to you that we have to make sure that this, we still have to pay our taxes, so we have to go ahead and get this set up. Also, we have other good news that's been a buzz for the last few weeks. There's going to be a tourney to show off a champion for the king, which is where a bunch of those knights come by, because it's the Middle Ages, right? Come by and set up in this around here in Harkwood to show off and win favors and compete, and basically a big sporting event. This is going to generate a lot of revenue because they have to pay, all the different baronies have to pay to send people here to do this. So to repeat, we had bandits steal all the tax money. A big event's going to happen. And apparently the last guy wasn't very good at his job, and bandit activity is pretty high. So congratulations, Alexander.
Right. I mean, so there's still a chance. If we earn
It
enough
sounds like
money
you
off
need
of
a
this
drink.
tournament.
Right.
If we earn enough money off of this tournament, we can pay our taxes, and then we just have to recover from the bandit problems.
Right. But as Griffin was, as John the innkeeper pointed out, in final conversation, I'm glad you pointed this out, because that's clever thinking. It's like, but who knew where the money train was and to rob it? If it was because Ilthuin the sheriff would have known about it, but who else would have known about it? Because that wasn't a big job with a lot of panoply. And if Ilthuin wasn't behind it, because you'd think if he was behind it, he would just left with all that money.
Right.
But there is a problem that people are reporting that there's a lot more bandits in the area. So as the sheriff, you're going to have to go ahead and recruit more deputies. And since there might be corruption going on, maybe you should recruit people you know very well. And who do you know better than Axcleft and John?
I literally would not know.
I'm going to assume the only ones you know are Axcleft and John.
Yeah.
Somehow you've gotten assigned the sheriff's job because I guess you applied for it and said yes.
I probably was made like a deputy the day before the axe came down on the sheriff's former job.
Well, deputizing is pretty common. You just grab some random people.
Right, but I'm saying maybe the old sheriff didn't have any other deputies. Maybe I was deputized the day before, and I'm like the only one in the sheriff's office.
Deputies come and go, so I'm assuming there were other deputies, but if I'm not mistaken, you have a physique of 3, and what's your dexterity again?
3.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, you are like the mightiest fighter in all of the land.
I mean, if I'm not, I can appear to be.
Right. So I think you rose to the level of sheriff out of sheer competence. And what is your charisma?
I believe it's 2.
Yeah, I believe you had no dump stats. Does anyone here actually have a dump stat of only 1?
I dumped dexterity.
Okay. You're the clumsiest bartender.
Hey, I don't do fancy tricks when I pour you your drink. I pick up the picture, I pour it, and you better hope it didn't spill.
Okay.
Just don't ask for a shake and drink.
Now, one of the things I love about this game is that in a completely bizarre move that I can't get enough of, armor increases your hit points. Which sounds weird at first, but is really cool later. So the question here, right? So the question, but to make this simpler, since this is like every role-playing game has a gazillion kinds of armor,
Of course.
I want to ask if you guys want to be wearing no armor, light armor, or heavy armor.
Does it make me any slower?
Yeah, so actually, it doesn't make you slower. This game is a fatigue system.
Well, given that I'm about as big and strong as the world's greatest fighter over here, I'd love some heavier armor.
All right, if you have heavy armor, you have 30 hit points.
I do not want any armor.
You're naked. If you're naked, you have 10 hit points.
I'll take 10 hit points.
So I now have 30 out of 30 hit points.
You should probably at least have light armor if you're the sheriff, because no armor is a mistake. There's no advantage to being naked in this game.
There's no advantage to being unarmored versus having a light armor?
That is absolutely true.
Okay.
Unless you want me to make one up.
No, I just thought that maybe there was like no fatigue versus small fatigue versus lot fatigue. But if there's
you take one fatigue around, you take another fatigue if you're wearing heavy armor, and you take another fatigue if you're using a heavy weapon.
Okay, well, if there's no benefit to no armor, then I will wear light armor.
Right, light armor's 20 hit points.
All right.
If you change your armor, we're supposed to do it like relationally. So if you change out of regular armor and into heavy armor, then we multiply this. Okay. You all right. You also start the game with 20 fatigue points. So congratulations. I think these are all the numbers. We're going to worry about
10 fatigue points.
I'm sorry, I said 20 fatigue points. Yeah. Okay. Earlier, I was explaining the big deal about the game, which is an interesting idea, but also apparently a confusing one. Is when you roll, you have two options when you roll. You can do a quick roll or you can do a called roll. A quick roll in the game is you just roll, and if you roll and get like a 13 or better, that's usually good enough to do anything in the game. Yeah. You roll the dice, add them up, roll 13 or better, boom, done. A called roll is before you roll it, you say, I'm going to do something weird, like I'm going to try to disarm him, or I'm going to try to hit him in the weak point for massive damage. Or I want to convince the bandits to surrender immediately, or something like that. I want to do a fancy called roll. A called roll, you have to roll a 16 or better, and you also have to announce that you did a called roll in the first place. So if you roll and it's a called roll and you get the 16 or better, huzzah, you get a better result than if you just made a quick roll. But there's that 3-point margin in the middle where you could have failed. You must call a called roll to do a called roll. Also, many things, if you roll a 20 or better, is a critical. If you want to seduce a bear, you have to roll like a critical, that usual kind of thing. Critical hits do double damage in the game, so that's cool. If you score a critical, you can take a critical if you want it, but you can only claim a called result if you said you were going for a called result. Is that pretty straightforward?
Yes.
I think so.
Okay.
And you got like the handy chart here on the side, which also helps.
Yeah, it's kind of like when we were doing the called roll is I think the Devil's Bargain in Blades of the Dark works a little bit better, where they ask a player if they want to take a bigger risk if they fail in return for this. In this game, it's basically you're taking a -3 to your roll to do something fancier.
It's a little bit of gambling.
Right. It's more important in combat because called hits, like I said, called can be precision damage, where you pick a specific part of somebody to hit to try and get massive damage. Because I was saying earlier, like a called shot would ignore armor, but a critical hit would do double damage. But then there's a question of, do you want to ignore armor or do double damage? And the answer is, what weapon did you bring today? If you brought a tiny weapon, ignoring armor might be better off in your benefits. So, which is weird because you actually get extra hit points. So this gets complicated.
Yeah.
Well, I keep saying armor. There is invulnerability in this game, where some things in the game ignore certain points of damage. You'll mostly see that in the monsters. You guys don't have.
Okay.
Well, and I'm going for heavy armor. What kind of smith would I be without it?
Of course, you're a dwarf. Okay. Let's see. So we did fatigue points. Oh, you also have stamina points. Congratulations. Each one of you starts. The rules say 3, but I'm going to start you off with 5 stamina points because you're going to go through these so fast. You can spend a stamina point in the middle of a fight to either recover some of your fatigue or recover some of your hit points. It's not an action to do this. You just say, I'm going to spend one of those points.
All right, noting that down.
When you run out of hit points, if you run out of fatigue points, other people get an extra die to hit you. I mentioned this earlier. They get an extra fate D6 to hit you. And if that D6 comes up 6 when they hit you, you automatically go down.
Oof.
And you can keep fighting if you and if you run out of hit points, you can keep fighting. You don't automatically die when you run out of hit points. Instead, your opponents get an extra D6 to hit you. And if that die comes up 6, you die.
Woo, instant death. Gotta love it.
Well, no, you have to run out of hit points first. So just keeping in mind
So
that
regular death then. Okay.
just the regular death. But basically, if you run out of hit points,
Then Theta reclaims his hit points, so he just starts that way.
the stamina is going to be important because you can spend stamina to recover fatigue, and the amount you recover is random. When you go to recover your fatigue, you make a fitness roll, and when you go to recover your hit points, you make a health roll. So in other words, in the middle of combat, you can spend a stamina point, roll your health, and whatever you roll, that's how many hit points you get back.
Mm-hmm.
I'm mentioning this because this might make Theta think, I'm a huge guy. Heavy armor and heavy weapons might be good for me.
I'm not changing my mind.
Yeah, that's why I mentioned that. So,
What
because
constitutes a heavy weapon?
Yeah, but because in a bizarre change, but of course this is one of those weirdo old school games where you actually usually use. Well, we'll work with this later. All right. So that said, I think we started you guys off in the town, which I don't have a map for because I couldn't get it processed.
Well, if we're going with anachronistic medieval times, there's exactly 2 roads going through the town, and so the town is between the 2 roads. Congratulations, this is where all the traffic is.
Oh, I forgot to ask. No, I can assign miniatures to you because I have several of them loaded. But if you guys have a miniature you want to use,
I mean, I'll just take one of them off of here, right?
okay. How do I? Can you mass? You can't mass edit tokens, can you?
No, makes me very sad.
Okay, well then,
I'll take this guy.
Which guy do you want? You want this? You want this guy?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll take the archer in green.
Throw it.
So I'll be
I
right
guess
back.
you have a dwarf in that style somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're all squashed. Okay. This is that thing I don't understand. So I right-click on the token, and there's a menu called Edit. But when I try to click on it, nothing happens. Does that menu just not do anything?
It should.
Yeah, I mean, it should, but it doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
So I give up. All right. So,
Yeah.
Arklo, did you have one of these you wanted, or?
I'm gonna load up another game just so I can give you like more explicit
Yeah,
instructions.
I thought you'd choose this. Yeah, I could have fixed their proportions, but I didn't. Fun, guys. Am I supposed to be fun? Should I be more fun?
Oh yeah, that button doesn't apparently do anything. Just double click the token twice real fast.
Yeah, or I found the gear does it.
Yeah, the gear also will do that.
Yeah, double clicking gives me problems because.
Yeah, I guess they disabled that when they were making some changes. That's weird.
Hello, Roll20. I'm getting nice. How do I change all of your POV to what I'm looking at?
Shift plus click.
There you go. Yep. I have given you control. If I have done this correctly, I've given you control over these tokens. You may edit them as you will.
There we go. All right. So tell you what, I'm going to go ahead and give myself my health value and my fatigue value.
Yeah, normally all this stuff would be randomly assigned, but and of course there's a gazillion mods in the rules. We can have a discussion of what we modded later. Well, so okay. All of you have gathered at the Drunken Rooster because why wouldn't you? This is where the booze is.
And I mean, if we're going to be deputized suddenly and go and do something risky, we may as well be drunk while doing it.
Well, for the sake of simplicity, I'm going to assume that Alexander, at least, he's known the two of you for quite some time. Axcleft makes, it sharpens a bunch of the blades and the weapons. And and John here runs the inn. And this is probably why Alexander came to the town in the first place, because he knew you guys and was looking for work and didn't want to go on one of the many crusades against orcs or madness or whatever insane monsters that are out there. I mean, why would you want to get killed?
Yeah, getting killed sounds like a terrible plan, honestly.
Not to mention that the Drunken Rooster is one of the larger. Harkwood Town is large enough to have several guilds, but it's only a town and not a city. So it's not that large. Also, Ilthuain and the rest of his guys were arrested and sent off to King's Justice. Whether that was fair or not is another issue. Apparently, Baron Fenmark is very upset about losing all of the money. But unfortunately, all of this has to be gotten through Eric, who is very diplomatic. Eric has had his job for 20 years and plans to keep it. So Alexander is confiding with the two of you in town. So, as I mentioned, the tourney is going to come here in a couple days, so you have to secure the area. And bandit activity is apparently on the rise. What do you plan to do, and what skills do you have to bring to bear?
Well, I mean, I've come to the innkeeper because he's good with people.
Are you good with people? Do you have charisma?
I am, and I'm also apparently very pretty. I don't know exactly what face does, but it's my best ability.
One thing that cracks me the hell up about this game is this is the only game I've ever seen that has 4 categories of charisma. I've seen games where they have 1, and I've
seen 2.
Yeah, I've seen 2, and I've even seen 3. But this is the game that has 4 of them, and all of them are very vague. There's charisma of your face, your voice, your ability to debate, and your gesturing. Which is...
I put all my points into gesticulation.
Well, this is what cracks me up. So you can be pretty, but you can also have low gestures. So even though you're pretty to look at, it's when you move.
Oh gosh, it's just like me. I don't move at all, but I say things, and people hate that too.
Oh, this is the game to make Dr. Girlfriend in.
Basically.
Oh my!
I told you, it's just my voice. I just smoke a lot.
All right. So I guess as the innkeeper, I have been speaking with people. What would I roll to see what I know about speaking with other people?
Well, see, the funny part is, notice all the charisma attributes in this game are just how good looking you are. Because actual gathering information from people would probably be under intelligence, because that's analysis, or probably be under wisdom, because wisdom is one of my favorite skills, reflection, where you stop and think about what you've done.
And I put a point in it. So I will stop and think about all the conversations I've had.
And you know me, I'm a big fan of composite stuff, but I could also see you might want to use your charisma, because people come in here and you talk to them. So I'm assuming that because people come in here and talk to you and you listen to them, that you might be able to make either a voice roll or I would think either voice or debate would be appropriate for that. Because the problem is this game kind of this is the era of rumor mills where you just went to taverns and the GM just rolled random rumors, and hookers have a 45% chance to lie to you. So this is pretty weird. So would you want to use are your voice and debate pretty much the same?
They are.
Okay. So before you roll, you can choose whether you want to do a quick roll or a called roll.
So I'm looking at 3d10 plus 1d6. So what's my statistics on this? I got to think about that for half a second.
Well, I'll tell you right now, you should take a called roll because your odds of making it are so good.
Yeah, which is exactly what I was thinking. I think generally I'm going to make it.
When you make a called roll, you can ask me for an extra thing.
All right. Called roll.
So normally you're just rolling. Now, I assume you're rolling to see what do the locals know about the bandits?
Yep, that's right.
Okay. What if you're doing a call roll? What extra would you want?
Well, I'm asking them what they know about it, but I guess I would probably also want to ask, hey, you're definitely certain whether or not they've stolen the silver, right? You've heard rumors of that explicitly. and that they
You want to
have
know
it
if the
somewhere.
local stole the silver or if it was an outside job.
Yes.
Okay, make a roll. Once again, you roll your D10s and your D6s and add all of them together. You have D10s in the broad categories and D6s in the specific category. So you've rolled
There
a
we go.
17. Almost
Yep.
didn't make it.
Woo! Well, I mean, it's right in the middle of the pack. It's good.
Okay. Well, your inn is the town itself is wall, and I'm going to assume that your inn is on the inside of the wall.
Right. That would make sense.
Okay. So bandits, because you guys are not quite on the frontier, but it's this weird fantasy thing where bandits are running around because the landscape is large. Okay, so you haven't seen the rookie mistake that a lot of bandits would make of trying to fence their obvious things. One problem is because it was silver. It would be very easy to detect. It wouldn't be like the copper pennies that you usually see around here. Okay, but as I mentioned, you're wondering like if the bandits stole it, they would have they couldn't unless if they were inside people, they wouldn't probably be able to fence it easily unless they had connections. And that's making you think about another local character, since you've been around here for a while. There's a lord. All right, one of the locals here is a guy by the name of Telbaran. You've seen him once or twice. Telbaran is a lord by birth. So I guess he's part of the royal family. Doesn't really say here. I apologize. But in the last few shuffles, and especially after the Crusades, which happened a few years ago, he doesn't actually own any land in Harkwood. He has money, but not any ownership. So he's renting at the suffrage of other people. But because he's a lord and enjoys court at Baron Fenmark and does things like go in between here and the King of Caithness, there's something about this guy that always sets you off about you know how the nobles are. They're always scheming to go ahead and get stuff. And so here's a guy who has noble connections, but no actual land. Telbaran, because he's part of Baron Fenmark's court, might have known about the money. Because the three suspects you have in this are Baron Fenmark, Sheriff Ilthuain, and Lord Telbaran, the three people you can think of. And, so if it was Fenmark, this is all a big frame up. If it's Ilthuain, boy, did he screw up because he gets sent to prison, is probably getting executed. And then there's Telbaran, who you don't trust.
Right, so this scheming, slimy noble who dares to rent things clearly must be a part of this, or at least have some part in it.
If he is a part of it, the problem is that you're convinced that bandit activity in the area has been pretty big. So much so that Eric, that the Baron yelled at Eric to do something about it, and Eric appointed Ilthuain and then later appointed Alexander here to deal with it.
Mm-hmm. So it seems like if they're wanting it solved and they're not involving him in a scheme, like you're not involved in a scheme, right? Then he's probably innocent. Or so would seem to be the case.
But you can't ask Ilthuain because he's
busy.
Leagues away.
Yeah.
And the locals you've been talking to, everyone's convinced that the bandit activity in the area is organized, but no one's quite sure where it would be operating out of. Because if you have bandits, you have to have a bandit camp. Because you'd have to have a place to store all your weapons. You can't just, as that love debate, as I speak with this, we run a Sanguine Discord server. And it's like, well, if you have a bunch of weapons, where do you keep them? Because if you carry them with you everywhere, we could point and go, hey, those look like bandit weapons.
Hey, you sure look like you're about to stab somebody. That wouldn't be good for us.
Yeah, we're looking for people. We're looking for a dozen men who stabbed a bunch of royals and took the money. Do you know who they are? No. Can't help it unless you have a bunch of weapons there. No, it's not these. These are for personal defense. There's bandits out there, Right. So if they have a base of operation, it could be in the elf-infested woods. Except that's unlikely because the elves those weirdo elves that live in the woods who speak their own elvish language don't get along with humans. So why they would be helping the bandits is pretty weird. If it's somewhere, I'm sorry.
Never trust an elf.
Something like that. Right. So where they would be coming from is a good question. But Tel'Baran would be you also think Tel'Baran just gives you a bad vibe. So he lives in the city. He rents a house in the city. Gaining audience with him would be difficult for a commoner, but Sheriff Alexander might be able to.
Well, that would be my best guess, Sheriff.
So put a pin in that.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions you want to ask me?
Right. So we generally went over kind of what the people know, which is like, hey, they probably aren't with the elves because elves are weird and don't like humans. They got to have a camp somewhere, but obviously the people in town don't know. They seem to be outsiders, so of course we can cross off most people in town. Except, of course, for people who directly could benefit from it. What other question do you think we need to ask here, Sheriff? What's on your mind that I could answer for you?
Does Tel'Baran wear a hat that conspicuously covers the tops of his ears?
To all appearances, he is human.
Yes, to all appearances. Why I asked that specific question.
Let me see if I can find this. The good news is an old school large adventure, which means I have descriptions of everybody. Let's see. He is he's approaching early middle age. He wears very bright clothes. No, he is a foreigner renting in this place. If your suspicion would be that he's here because he wants to, he's got designs on marrying Baron Fenmark's daughter, of which he has one. Her mother died from Disney mom disease. And Tel'Baran is an unlanded lord from another place. He apparently is human and has a good bloodline, but while he apparently has money, he has no land. So he's basically a pretender.
Sure, I mean, it's a double mark then, because one way of taking the Baron out is to make sure that he fails to pay taxes.
Surely you wouldn't accuse this guy. Tel'Baran just rubs a lot of people the wrong way, but maybe that's just because he's,
No, I'm sure that if I had a style, it'd be the just one more thing way of asking people questions.
Yes, there we are. Columbo. Columbo with a polearm. There's nothing I don't like about that.
No, I'm more of a bow user.
So I think the second best thing to ask then, since you were asking, would be, where have people been attacked by bandits? Obviously, there's the big raid on the Silver, which had to have happened somewhere on the road, but there's no telling where that could have really happened. Local bandit attacks, though, would probably be closer to the bandit camp.
Well, not in town, because the town is walled. And that's where
but if there's a farmstead and they mostly attack like the farmsteads on the east side, hey, maybe they're on this general eastern side.
Right. And of course, to the west are the charcoal burners and hunters and wood people, because everything's built out of wood. It's the freaking Middle Ages.
Of course.
But yeah, people have been reporting that there've just been random, we'll say like, hey, I put my sticks down, and then when I came back, someone stole my big pile of sticks. Like, you're getting a lot. There's like, your list of complaints is really long. But it wasn't.
We got the list.
And there's also reports of Erlich the Absent-Minded went out. We haven't seen him for a couple days. Maybe he fell into a sinkhole. Maybe he was murdered by bandits. We don't know. It's been getting a little worse. What makes the Baron and by extension Eric upset is in a couple days, like, nobles from every barony are going to be showing up here for 3 days. So we've got a place cleared out for them. We have a staging ground outside for them to set up, and they're going to do like 3 days of pageantry and all that kind of stuff, and then leave when it's done. but the idea that there might be bandits in the area and someone might get mugged or something like that could be seriously embarrassing.
Well, maybe we should just form a
Right.
posse. Form a posse, and
We are the posse.
that I know I've made you the posse. I'm the one who's made you the posse. I'm saying
Right,
that maybe we should form a posse and set out.
you could also recruit more people if you want. But this is a town. It's got like 1,000 people in it.
Mhm.
It has a 15-foot high palisade of wood around the entire town with walkways. It's very defensible.
Very nice.
Wait. 1,000 people and one sheriff? Was there like a town guard of some sort, or?
Well, that's kind of the problem. It's the Middle Ages, so we're going to go ahead and appoint new people. And there are people that can be appointed as the guard, but there was just a purge because the tax money was robbed and the Baron was very upset about it. And apparently they purged all the old guys and are now, and Eric is out looking for new people and you're out looking for new people. So yeah, it's kind of weird, isn't it?
Everyone who's previously been trained is off the list.
Well,
Well,
the
there are a
10
lot of,
most successful businesses in town.
let's see. That would be the Drunken Rooster, which is the second smallest inn in town, compared to the Wayward Sun Inn, which is the largest inn in town, but also the worst.
Carry on.
There is there's the Healers Guild. The Healers Guild is pretty big here. There's a bunch of guys who specialize in, because it's a fantasy world, healing magic. There's the Metalworkers Guild, of which Axcleft is a member. Loggers Guild. The Allied Crafters Guild, which covers other strange stuff. There is a because Harkwood is in the center of the baronies, there's a lot of trade that goes through here. So there is the Warehouse Guild, which handles that. There's Axcleft's business. Those are the big businesses.
I'm going to go to each one of them and ask for them to volunteer a person, and I'm going to deputize them as a representative of both their business and the town.
Okay. What skills do you have useful in recruiting people?
I don't know what skills would be used.
Well, the ones I'm
Voice?
thinking of for you could use voice to encourage people to come to your side. Hello, you should join me. Because gesture would be weird. Sir, that dance move.
I point at you, and you come. Gestured.
You get up on like a hill, you take a stance with one leg up on a rock, and you hold up a flag. There's your gesture. Just let people walk to you.
There's intelligence analysis, which is you could look at people when they come to volunteer and decide which ones are good and which ones are bad. I assume that, and of course, one of my favorites, intuition. You could just people at random.
You know what? Intuition.
Would you like to do a quick intuition, or would you like to do a called intuition?
I'll do a quick intuition, the way it's meant to be done.
So you basically go over the roster and meet some people, and then decide which ones you want to deputize and which ones you don't. Why don't you go ahead and make an intuition roll? It is critical. You will get 12 people recruited to your cause.
And this way they all also represent important businesses. So that way if there's a conflict of interest between people, everyone's represented.
Well,
we'll get the fight right next to us. It's great.
Naturally, the businesses are kind of upset because it's like, I need these guys to do work.
Well, they're only deputies. They're not full-time sheriffs.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and we're all busy because we want to do 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, you have a critical success. Is there something specific you would want in a deputy?
Brains and bronze. Brains and brawn.
Brains and brawn. Okay, so basically you just want smart guys.
Well, brains and brawn. I want
Right.
smart guys who are also, I want like the strapping young lads from the fields who are also apparently all able to do calculus.
Well, when you go to recruit people, the businesses, like a lot of them, they submit several people, but you reject some of the applicants because you don't think their heart's in it, and you don't think they can hold a sword by the right end. You spend some time canvassing applicants and telling people to show up for militia duty. You didn't ask for anything specific, did you?
Just brains and brawn. Well, other than, being from all the top 10 businesses.
Yeah, I mean, the Armorers Guild sends people, and a lot of the places try to pledge that they'll give you resources. Like, yeah, sure, we'll give you weapons, or we'll give you, armor. And I assume you fight back saying, well, that's no good, unless you can actually find someone who actually wear that stuff.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to assume that you did that earlier today and recruited a bunch of people. And so
Good work, of course.
You go over your list and say, I'm very satisfied that that's good. So you nod to yourselves and say, yeah, I think that Lord Telbaran is probably up to no good. Good thing I recruited 12 local men and women with good sword hands who will defend the honor of Harkwood.
So we have plenty of people. Now the question is, what do we do with them? Where do we go?
Speaking of local businesses, Axcleft, what are you doing to help fight all of this?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we now have 12 able-bodied young men and women. Let's arm them. So we'll get the forges running.
Okay, so I don't see another thing that's kind of annoying is of course they forgot to include a craft skill.
Well, I took physique and intelligence at 3. Physique has strength at 2 to mold the iron with the hammer. Math and spatial at 2 to know volumes of steel and the shapes of steel. So I figured.
Well, I guess we could either submit that you could use your intelligence to make fine blades, or you could work long, strong hours into the night and use your fitness or health or whatever to take extra hours and work the blades longer. But those would be my 2 suggestions. Which one of those would you want?
Let's make some fine blades. So I'm guessing that's a called win.
Yes. So don't screw it up.
All right. So that would be intelligence and
I think it's funny that they have like analysis, spatial, and then my favorite, math.
Yeah,
because I think that they assume in the game that you would want to count things, but you wouldn't actually want to make things. So which one of these did you put any bonuses in?
Well, I didn't know what would be important, so I put 2 in math and 2 in spatial. But if analysis is going to be important,
I like the way you think. I think math should basically be like any kind of higher academics and book learning. So if you're all right with this, I'd have you make a math roll if you're okay with it.
All right, so that would be 3d10 and 2d6.
Yep.
All right.
And all I can do is roll 16 or better. And if you don't, well, I'll point at you and laugh. You did it! Suddenly your men are equipped with the finest metal arms and armor that you possibly could have. So you are convinced that with all these really great men-at-arms, that I'm going to go ahead and say that, 2 of them are here with you. And how do I name these guys? Okay. Now I got to make sure. How do I make the name visible so you can see it?
You have to click the box next to the name, and also at the couple of dots that are above that, click that and select name as well.
Ah, there we go. So you can
after doing both of those, it should be visible.
That's crazy.
Pyro.
So So you can edit I can set it up so you can edit the token, but you can't actually see their name. That's hilarious. I guess
Right. I think you can set it up so that you can see the names when you want to know what they are, or you could set it up so everyone sees the name.
You know, like if you had like Goblin 36. That way, we the players don't know there's 36 goblins, but you remember which goblin is which.
But you could still edit the token. Just see it there.
Well, I mean, typically you wouldn't give us the bad guy tokens to edit.
Right. Okay, so 2 of your deputies are with you, Tyro and Hannah. And yes, we're honored to be having this kind of gear and also to be drinking this beer. That's what we get for being in the militia, right? Free beer?
Gear and beer. That's what the payment is.
Yep, you get it for today. So get used to it while you have
You know
it.
what? When I make a fantasy city, I always do it German style. So you have the beer garden underneath the town hall. If you want people to show up at the town hall, you put a beer garden under it.
That's perfect logic.
Yes. That's why my town is I'm around.
So we got manpower. We have some potential places to go. Where are you guys thinking?
Well, that's what I said. Form a posse and then head out.
You think, but before you have time to form a posse, you will hear a clamor outside. Help! Help!
I rush
I'm clamoring.
outside.
I have voice and charisma.
It's a good thing that we actually already are armed and armored and will rush out to the defense of the town as we are deputized.
Okay.
Or I will, anyway. If you do right.
Well, I literally said it before you even started.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I'm the sheriff. This is my job. You're abandoning your inn.
I'm protecting the door.
Well, you don't run the inn yourself. You've got helpers, but
I got helpers.
Like, I don't know if you're married or have children or have a polycule or whatever it is you do.
Innkeeper polycule.
One of those weird elves, are you?
No, but we got a couple of them in there.
How do you set up there's the bar. Okay.
Yep, so you can set up a number, and then you can also set a maximum for that number, and it will display the bar once there's a maximum to it.
Okay, so yeah. Now, can you see those bars?
No.
Oh, okay.
You also have to edit the visibility of those as well, which has the button adjacent to it.
Okay, I'm not going to do that just yet.
That's fine. We don't have to know what they're on.
Well, since all of you decide to rush outside, especially Tyro and Hannah, and go, we got these great new weapons and armor. I got to show this crap off. You will see outside. It is the colorful local Agrast, an older gentleman who does sleight of hand and busks for money in the streets. And he's being chased by 4 ruffians.
People
My gosh, they've gotten to town.
You don't recognize them immediately, but what you can see is that they're armed with axes and wearing armor. They're saying, "Get him! Shut up, you old man!"
All right, well, time to start a combat then, I guess.
All right.
Absolutely.
We'll go ahead and start with the highest ranking person, which is Alexander.
All right, well, I'm going to call shot to one of their knees. And
so you pull out your bow.
Career, home and go.
Okay. A bow is a 2-handed weapon, so it's a heavy, fatiguing weapon. So spend 1 fatigue point and do a called shot on, I guess, this bandit here.
Yep.
All right.
You haven't told me what I need to roll.
Attacks with a bow are coordination. Because there's fine motor control.
When I say called shot, I assume that means called win as well.
Right. That means if you hit, it does extra damage.
Right.
And I will attempt to dodge. When I dodge, I have to roll higher than your number, and this costs me a fatigue point. Well, that's not higher now, is it?
Nope.
All right, so you're doing a call. So I will fall to my knee. How do you rotate a token? There's a way to there it is.
There's a pigtail sitting on the top of them.
Yeah. So I'll tip them on their side as they take a knee. And you have shot me with a bow, which is going to do 12 points of damage.
That's your only warning. Stand
Is
down.
Is there an easy way to subtract damage?
Well, if you have it in the
Yes.
the thing, you just minus and the number, and then hit enter.
Yeah, if you click the bubble
If I
and you
have it
type
in
in
the-
minus number or plus number, it adjusts the number.
If I have it in the thing, what's a thing?
Literally,
bar.
Griff just told you.
All right, when you click it, the 3 bubbles will show up. If you click on a bubble and then you type in -3, it'll subtract the number. If you do a +3, it'll add the number.
Sorry, I just had that Demolition Man
What?
moment. He doesn't know how to use the 3 bubbles.
I don't know how to use the 3 bubbles. And they're not
You-
bubbles, they're squares.
No, they're not.
When you
Moving on.
select the token, there will be 3 circular bubbles that are red, green, and blue.
Okay, it might be different because I have add-ons and stuff.
Yeah, I don't have the add-on.
Might very well be then, actually. In which case,
I
it's harder
installed
to describe.
I installed the VTT add-on, which has been very helpful.
Mhm.
Okay, so Thunk, I'm going to tip them on their side because they got shot in the knee. Okay, excellent. Anyone else?
Well, I suppose someone should go next. I'll go next. I will rush to Agrast's aid, and I will run past the guy who's been knocked down and come up here to fight somebody.
All right, do you want to fight me?
Yeah, I want to fight that guy.
All right, you can go ahead and try to fight me. Go ahead and swing at me.
All right, so what am I swinging? Probably a strength-based weapon.
If you want, yeah. So it's a strength-based weapon. You can roll your strength. Do you have
Let's
a
do it.
one-handed weapon or a two-handed weapon?
You know what? Let's go ahead and go with two-handed weapon. I'm the barkeep.
Okay.
I need to have a big show weapon.
Swinging a weapon costs 1 fatigue point. And are you in heavy armor?
Yes, I am.
You moved, so spend another fatigue point.
I'm down 2 fatigue.
All right, swing at me. Do you want to do a called shot or a
I will do a called shot.
All right, you must roll 16 or better.
I do.
Actually, you must roll 17 or better because I attempted to dodge, but I failed, so you hit me.
Ah,
I go to you because fuck.
and he's gonna get brutaled. Let's see what happens.
Okay, yeah. I don't get bubbles. I get
I do like we're using 2 different colors for fatigue. We've independently chosen.
Oh, why wouldn't you use red for hit points?
I'm using red for hit points.
I'm using green for hit points because I always assume green for hit points.
Yeah, dude. We're all gonna point you point. You're the weird one. Every game uses red for hit points.
Both numbers are the same though, so it doesn't matter which was which.
As long as you remember, every game uses red for hit.
Well, because I'm using the first one as hit points, I'm using the second one as fatigue points, and then that turns out color-wise to be green and red.
As long as you know.
Yep.
Okay, so not quite a critical, but still a called shot.
Which I believe does double, so how much damage did I actually do to this guy?
Oh, double, that's right. Well, a heavy weapon, actually, I'm going down in 1 hit.
I thought critical was double, and called was...
Yeah,
Oh, Carl was over armor, yeah.
A called ignores my armor, so it does 1.5 points of damage. And if I have any invulnerability or specials, it ignores those.
Ooh, yeah.
So he does not, he's down to 3.
Nice. Okay, well, that was my stuff.
All right.
Right.
Zach's left.
I'm going to assume that Ashcleft carries some form of boss script shield, a warhammer, and probably some throwing axes.
Yes, the only problem with the display that you described as a warhammer is a 2-handed weapon. Do you just mean a hammer?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. All right.
All right. And so, what is the throwing axe? I would assume dexterity and precision. Well, no, precision would be for working tiny things. I guess coordination.
Thrown weapons are actually agility.
Okay, well, I'm just going to be rolling 3d10 on this.
Just 3d10.
3 dexterity.
Okay. Now, this is where it gets tricky because you are firing into a melee, so you have to do a called shot.
I was going to go for that guy. I guess he counts as. So yeah, cold
Right,
shot.
and in this case, because the conditions are confused, it has to be a called shot. I can do that as a GM.
Yeah.
All right, so he will spend the fatigue and attempt to dodge. He is not dodged, and you scored a critical hit.
Yep.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's going to go ahead and take me out of hit points in a single hit. Ouch.